Welcome. Moving on from formatting, we're now going to move on to filtering and sorting data. You can see down here on this second tab along. Now, filtering is used to highlight specific data. If I just want to look at all the data that concerns males or females, I can reduce the text just to look at that specific criteria. Or we could look at costs. So I only want to look at everyone who has a cost, say, that is greater than £50. We can reduce this data and it will just highlight everyone that has less than £50, that kind of thing. Sorting the data, that's arranging the data in a specific order, either by surname, alphabetically. You could also highlight, sort the data into cash values, smallest to largest or largest to smallest, or in date order. So there's quite a lot you can do with this. So let's look at filtering. You can filter by more than one criteria. However, in your exam, it's usually one criteria that they'll ask you. The level 2 doesn't go that in depth. So normally we're going to filter by one criteria. They'll just ask you to do a print screen of that. A tip for you is that I would delete any redundant rows, any blank rows. So I've got data here that's in one block, which is fine. But if I just add a row, so if I right click into number 4 and insert, I can see that possibly you may get some data. I've seen this in C&Gs. You may get some data that there's a blank row between your subheadings and the rest of your text. Now, my advice would be to delete that, because if you try and add a filter or sorting to this, it won't be able to read the headings because there's a gap between, so it'll think these are the headings here. So my advice would be, if you have a blank row, then just right click on the blank row and delete it. So all our text is back in one block. Okay, let's move on. So let's filter by gender. So I want to filter this whole text and I just want to look at male or female. So we're just going to look at the females for now. So I'm going to click anywhere in my text because it's in one block. So I can click anywhere in my text. I'm going to come over to the top right, sort and filter, and I'm going to go to filter. I can see it's put a little icon, drop down arrow, on every subheading. And this will allow me to choose specific columns to filter by. So we're going to go by gender. So I'm going to click on the drop down. And now you can either deselect them all and then choose female, your choice, or when it's like this, you could just deselect the one you don't want. So we're going to choose female, click OK, and I can see it's filtered all the data down, so it's just looking at females. Like I was saying, you could add a filter on a filter in real life. I don't think the exam's going to ask you to do this. So in theory, now I've got the females, I could add another filter onto this and say I only want to look at 2008, which is 2 of them. So I could do a drop down and I could deselect them, click the 2008, and now I'm only looking at females from 2008. I don't think it's going to go that in depth with your criteria, but it's a nice thing to know. So to deselect the filters and get back to your original, you can either click on the filter and select all, and it takes you back, or instead of doing it on females, we can come over to sort and filter, and we can take the filters off, and it takes us all the way back to where we were before. Now, I would advise you to have a play with this. So again, click anywhere in the text. I'm going to click in the subheading. I'm going to put my filters on, and you can now filter by points. So if I wanted to filter by points and I only want to look at everything that's more than 500, then I can either, 2 ways, is deselect them and look at and just click on the ones I want. It's quite long-winded. I could just say I only want to know the ones that are more than 500. You could either click on the ones that you want that way, or a quicker way would be to look at number filters. So I'm going to highlight this, and I can see there's different criteria that I can use to filter the numbers, the points values. So I'm going to say I'm going to everything greater than 500. Let's see what happens. So we can see that all our points, everyone that's linked to them, male or female, because I've just done it on points, is greater than 500. Now just be careful in the exam because it may say equal to or greater than a number, and if it does you have to put the equal sign in as well because we've not included 500 here, so you just have to be aware of that. If I deselect the filters, so I'm back to my original, I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to click on the drop down. This time I'm going to number filters and I'm going to say greater than or equal to 500. Now I've included 500. So if you want to play with these, deselect the filter and then filter by dates, then yeah, please have a play with this because I think it's going to ask you to do this in your exam, and it's a nice thing to know as well. Just one thing to point though, when you take a print screen of this, because if you're asked to do a filter, you'll be asked for a print screen, just make sure columns are opened appropriately. I can see they're squashed here and they're squashed here, so I would go to the top left-hand corner, as we did in the previous video, hover between any of the letters at the top and double click, and just make sure I open up all my columns. Okay, good. So I'm going to deselect the filters, take the filters off, and we're going to look at now sorting data. So this is how we arrange the data in a specific order, a bit like a filing system. Well, a lot like a filing system. So we could sort by surname, we could sort by points, so lowest to highest, cash value, lowest to highest, or in date order, whatever the exam asks you to do. And you can do multiple sorts. You could sort by surname, then sort by something else. But in the exam, the only double sort it will ask you to do, I think, will be surname, then first name. But let's have a look. Same again. All my text is in one block, as I said before. So if there is a blank line in between, please delete it. So we're going to click anywhere in the data and then come over to sort and filter and then to custom sort. Just move the box over. So I can see I've got 3 boxes here: column, sort on, and order. We're only going to use number 1 and number 3. Do not use this one. Not required for this exam. This is just an extended sort on certain values within the cell, which is level 3 and onwards. So we're only going to use the column and the order one. So I can see if I click on the drop down here that I've got all my subheadings here to sort by. So let's sort by surname, and I want it A to Z. So I want the surname, first name up here to be A all the way down to Z, and the lines will move appropriately. So here we go. Press OK. I can see we got Actor, Atkinson, Barker, coming down, Murray, Pope, Scott. So everything's been done and all the rows have been moved appropriately. Now in the exam, I think they'll ask you to do if they are going to ask you to do a sort, so they'll do a double sort on surname, because they'll now say once you've sorted by surname, then I want you to sort by first name, because we can see here we've got 2 Murrays and Zachary is above Jake. So really Zachary should be below Jake in the alphabetical order. And the same with, I'm missing one, 2 Harrises. We've got Danielle and Rosie. So Danielle is above Rosie, which is correct, but we just need to make sure. So I'm going to go back. I've clicked into my data. I'm going to go back to custom sort. I can see I've already done the first sort. So it's surname A to Z. I'm going to add another level. So now, once I've sorted by surname, I want it to sort by first name A to Z. And it should sort out the Zachary and the Jake issue. As we can see, Murray, I've sorted by surnames, alphabetical, and then I've done a second sort by first name. So Jake now is above Zachary. I think that's the most complicated one they're going to ask you to do, the double sort. Now, there are other sorts you could do. You could sort by points, have it highest to lowest, or card number, highest to lowest, or dates, or cash value. So have a play. I'm just going to show you how to sort by points. So again, I'm going to click into all the data, custom sort. I'm going to delete the ones I've already got in there. Gone too far. So I've now got a blank screen to play with. So I'm now going to sort by card number. So I'm going to find card number. And I'm going to do smallest to largest. So I can see that it's 115,000 going all the way up to 179,860. Basically, that's filtering and sorting. I would have a play. Please play around with it. Have multiple sorts, multiple filters. But like I said in the exam, there'll be one filter they will specifically ask you to do. And the sorting data, the only double sort they will ask you to do will be surname and then by first name. And that's sometimes written a bit ambiguously in the question. It sometimes says things like sort by first name, sort first name alphabetically after surname. So it's kind of written back to front. So just be careful and read the question carefully. But yes, please have a play. Once you've had a go, send me your finished tasks. I'll have a look and I'll feedback. Thank you. We're going to be moving on next to the next videos. Moving on to will be formulas up to here. So look forward to seeing you. Bye-bye.